Windows To Go was a fully functional version of Windows that would live entirely on a USB drive. This wasn't some lightweight virtual machine, but like an actual complete operating system that booted directly from external storage and ran natively on whatever hardware it was plugged into. Available in Windows 8, 8.1, and later Windows 10 Enterprise and Education editions, it essentially allowed users to carry their entire desktop environment in specially made USBs. And this wasn't a clunky feature by any means, with how intelligently it handled portability. On first boot, it would detect the host machine and install the necessary drivers, then behave like a normal system on subsequent launches. It also included strict security features. Removing the USB would freeze the system immediately, followed by shutdown, and internal drives on the host machine could be hidden to prevent data leakage, as it was built for enterprise-grade use after all. But despite this innovation, Windows To Go was discontinued in 2019 and removed entirely in 2020. It didn't support modern Windows feature updates, meaning full reinstalls were required just to stay current. The certified USB drives this feature depended on became scarce, and performance varied significantly compared to internal SSDs. But more importantly, its core purpose was overtaken by the cloud, and stuff like remote desktops and cloud PCs made it easier to access your environment anywhere without physically carrying an operating system, taking Windows To Go from a niche to a completely useless feature. Cortana was introduced in 2014 on Windows Phone, before expanding into Windows 10 in 2015, along with Xbox, mobile apps, and even smart speakers for some reason. It was Microsoft's direct competitor to Siri, Google Assistant, and Alexa. But Cortana, instead of only voice commands, would be a personal AI assistant with a deep integration into Windows. She lived directly in the search bar and could open apps, find files, adjust settings, and create reminders tied to time or location. She also came with a notebook system that tracked user interests, habits, and calendar data to provide proactive suggestions. One of the first to have this form of AI personalization, I believe. Microsoft had big goals for Cortana, like her working seamlessly across devices. However, several issues led to her decline. Desktop users rarely used the voice since it was slower than the usual keyboard and mouse, and a lot clunkier too than what we have today. The collapse of the Windows Phone around 2017 sort of killed her point of being cross-device. Competitors quickly surpassed her in every metric, including privacy, which was a big complaint about Cortana at the time. Between 2019 and 2023, Cortana was gradually removed and eventually discontinued, now replaced by Copilot. Windows Mixed Reality was launched by Microsoft in 2017 as an attempt to make virtual and augmented reality a built-in feature of Windows. It was a full platform integrated directly into the operating system. It supported VR headsets from partners like Acer, HP, Samsung, and Lenovo, alongside AR devices such as Microsoft HoloLens, and included its own app ecosystem, virtual home environment, and motion controller system. The core idea was to turn all modern Windows PCs into VR-ready machines instantly to bet on the rising popularity of VR and basically get ahead of potential competition. There were several smart innovations, like how its tracking system used cameras on the headset to track movement, removing the need for external sensors and making setup far easier and more affordable than competitors at the time. It also allowed users to interact with both traditional desktop apps and immersive 3D environments, even supporting platforms like Steam VR. However, the platform struggled to gain traction as most users didn't want to replace their desktop with VR beyond just trying it once, and there was less dev support than on any other VR platform. Calling it mixed reality also caused branding confusion as the experience was largely VR focused. By 2023, mixed reality was officially removed from all newer versions of Windows. Windows Timeline was introduced in 2018 as part of Windows 10 version 1803. It was a visual history of everything you were doing on your PC, like the apps you opened, the documents you edited, the websites you visited, and so on. So you could scroll through all of these activities and reopen some if needed, making it basically a version history for your entire computer. To achieve this, Timeline obviously recorded a lot of your activity. This data was stored locally and could optionally sync across devices with a Microsoft account. Microsoft's larger vision for this seemed to move Windows away from basic file-based organization towards this activity system. However, this approach failed in practice. Many third-party apps didn't support Timeline, and popular browsers like Chrome lacked the full integration, making it mostly useless. And users were already used to using the File Explorer and search, and didn't see a reason to relearn everything and use this new feature. I think it also might be not as helpful to go through your activity when you can just go to the actual file you need to open. Over time, Microsoft reduced focus on this feature, and by Windows 11, the timeline was removed. The Windows People Bar, also known as My People, was introduced in 2017 as part of the Windows 10 Fall Creators Update. Instead of opening apps to communicate, you could pin your favorite contacts directly to the taskbar and interact with them. Clicking on a contact opened a compact interface where you could send messages, view recent conversations, and quickly share files. It integrated with services like Outlook and Skype, with limited support for some other third-party apps. But what killed this feature was that it just didn't really solve anything. Firstly, support was quite limited even within Microsoft's own ecosystem, and major apps like WhatsApp or Discord weren't integrated at all. More importantly, it took up valuable taskbar space, which ironically made it less convenient than having that space open the actual messaging app. This was just a solution to a problem most users didn't have, and by 2019 it was effectively abandoned, no longer existing in modern Windows versions at all. Windows Media Center was one of Microsoft's most ambitious attempts to turn the PC into a complete home entertainment system. First introduced in Windows XP Media Center Edition in 2002, it later became a major feature in Windows Vista and Windows 7. Unlike a typical media player, it was designed to function as a TV, DVR, and all-in-one media hub, something you could control from your couch like a console. So you could use it to watch live television, pause broadcasts, record shows, and schedule recordings, effectively replacing a cable box. It even supported HD content, which was rare to do at the time. The interface itself was built around the 10-foot screen design, meaning it worked smoothly on large screens from a distance, with the menus being oversized, similar to how modern TVs look. I mentioned movies, but Media Center was for basically every bit of media like music, photos, DVDs, and even early streaming services like Netflix all in one app. You could even use devices like the Xbox 360 to stream that media from your PC to a TV. But of course, because this required specialized hardware, which most didn't have at the time, it remained a bit niche, and development largely stopped after Windows 7. Especially as streaming platforms replaced traditional TV and DVDs, its core purpose just sort of disappeared, and by Windows 10, the Media Center was completely removed. WordPad was one of the longest lasting built-in tools in Windows, existing from Windows 95 in 1995, all the way to its removal in modern versions around 2023 to 2024 by Microsoft. It was a unique middle ground, being more capable than Notepad, but far more simpler than Microsoft Word. It supported rich text formatting through RTF files, basic styling options, and could even open certain Word documents, making it like a lightweight mini Word that came pre-installed on every PC. Despite its usefulness, WordPad has been largely unchanged for years. Microsoft officially deprecated it in 2023, meaning no further updates or improvements. The real turning point, though, came in 2024, when it was removed entirely from a version of Windows 11. By 2026, it no longer exists in standard Windows installations, with no official way to reinstall it. The reasons behind its removal was just that it had become legacy software with low usage as better third-party apps came out, yet still required ongoing maintenance and security updates. At the same time, it no longer fit Microsoft's product strategy, as the company wanted Notepad to be for basic text editing and Microsoft Word for advanced documents, and not have an awkward middle app. Improvements to Notepad in Windows 11 also replaced some of WordPad's use cases, which then led to its removal. HomeGroup was introduced in 2009 with Windows 7 as a way to make file and printer sharing across home PCs much simpler. Before it existed, setting up network sharing required dealing with permissions, user accounts, just overall confusing system settings, right? HomeGroup reduced all of that to a single password and a shared group, which was designed specifically for non-technical users. One computer would create a home group and generate a password, and any other PC on the same network could join instantly using that code. Once connected, users could automatically share libraries like pictures, music, videos, and documents, along with printers without manually configuring access rules. It worked entirely on local networks, meaning no internet connection was required, and included basic encryption tied to the shared passwords for security. At the time, this solved the real problem. Many households had multiple Windows PCs and cloud storage was still limited, so HomeGroup made those devices feel connected as a single system. However, it was officially removed in Windows 10 in 2018 and does not exist in modern Windows versions. With cloud-based services, especially built-in ones like OneDrive, becoming more mainstream, it just became a way more convenient way to share files. HomeGroup was also limited to Windows devices and became redundant as other operating systems gained popularity. But I think unlike the others in this list, this one did solve a real problem and just simply became outdated and wasn't just useless from the get-go. But let me know what you think of these in the comments, share the video if you enjoyed, and thank you for watching.